Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know. And you are the guy who will decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too. It's finished. Good morning, everybody. It is Finish Strong Friday. Trey Griggs here with Beta Consulting Group. And just in case you were wondering on that opener, we were reading from Oh, the Places You'll Go from Dr. Seuss. One of the best. Sometimes you just need a little Dr. Seuss in your life, make you smile, give you a little encouragement. And that's what we want to do here. We're here to entertain, educate, and inspire every day for Standing Out, daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Thanks so much for joining today. It's been a phenomenal week of shows. We've had an incredible lineup throughout the week, and you can catch every episode on demand on our YouTube channel, right here on LinkedIn Live, Twitter, Facebook, and anywhere that you get your audio podcast. But we had Nicole Glenn on Monday, Mark Dirks on Tuesday, my good friend Chris Woods on Wednesday, the awesome Raquel Packets yesterday on Thursday, talking about truck driver appreciation, all those great things. And today, my good friend Shawna Suckow is going to be on here in just a minute. But listen, before we do that, it is day 2 of National Driver Appreciation Month. So all of you truck drivers out there behind the wheel of trucks, moving those goods across the country and keeping everything in business, thank you. We appreciate you very much. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep that positive attitude. We appreciate what you're doing out there each and every day. Also, in that light, you should go check out taps.com, my sponsor. Love working with those guys. They're all about educating drivers and giving them the resources that they need to keep those wheels turning. Discounts on fuel, discounts on tires, cash flow, insurance needs, whatever it might be. So go check them out at taps.com. Make sure you tell them that Trey sent you, or let's just make it easier. Click on the link in the comments that Ruth or Morgan are going to put in there today. And that goes right to my landing page. So they know that I sent you and I get credit. People, I need credit for this. So make sure you click on the link, get started with Taps, get to know those guys. They are the good guys in freight factoring. We appreciate them sponsoring the show. Also, do me another favor. Because it's Finish Strong Friday, you might as well go pick up some swag over at our swag store. We've got Finish Strong Friday gear like Melissa Guzman. She posted this a little while back. We appreciate Melissa Guzman and everybody who has some Finish Strong Friday swag, because it is Finish Strong Friday. So whatever you're doing today, make sure that you get after it with everything you have. Labor Day is going to be a lot sweeter when you finish strong. So check us out at shop.betaconsultinggroup.com. Pick up some swag. Could be some standing out gear, word on the street, whatever it is. Be a part of our community. And every time you see that, that swag laying around or that shirt that you're wearing, think about being excellent today. That's what we're all about. So we appreciate that and would love to see pictures or videos of you with your swag. So make sure you send that to us when you get a chance. All right, listen, it's Friday. We've had a great week, but we have definitely saved the best for last. Super excited today to bring on my guest, who I got a chance to meet at a conference that we did recently. She was one of the keynote speakers. She was absolutely phenomenal, engaging the audience, providing great content and great practices for them to grow individually, to grow in their business, and to just be better. And so super excited to welcome to the show my good friend, Shawna Suckow. Shawna, hey, how are you?
Hey, Trey. Honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it is great to have you on the show. I remember when I met you at TMSA and heard you speak, I was like, I need to have you on the show. I want everybody on my audience, at least, to hear all about what you do and get to know you. So thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right. So let's just do a quick 30 seconds for people who may not know who you are, haven't heard of you yet. Tell us who you are and what you're doing. What is your why in life? What are you all about?
Oh my goodness, those are so many good questions. So I am a business and motivational speaker. Very often speakers are just one or the other, but I believe in being a well-rounded person and not just the person who shows up to work. We also have lives outside of work.
We
Uh,
do.
my my
I'm glad you
why,
said that. We'll talk about that
yeah,
now.
right. It's so important. My why is I want to inspire as many people as possible to live wholeheartedly, to work wholeheartedly, and just live well-rounded lives, especially in light of the pandemic. So,
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. And you did an awesome job. Jennifer is in the comments here, the executive director of the TMSA. She agrees. So good. And she made her word of the year, by the way.
oh,
Did
yay.
you? Yeah, it's embrace. That's right. So it's really cool. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Hi, Jennifer.
Those exercises are so good. And, one of the things that, sometimes I'll say this, and you probably deal with this a little bit. Sometimes people might say, well, what is the value of a keynote speaker or a motivational speaker coming in? I'll tell you what I think. It causes us to pause and reflect on life and to recalibrate what we really want to be and what we want to do. Do you mind if I share with you one quick story?
Please.
So I was at a conference this last weekend with our church men's retreat, and the speaker there, Rod Hanley, was talking about if somebody asked your kids or somebody asked your spouse, what do you care about most in life? What would they say? And man, it got me thinking, like, have I communicated to my kids and to my wife what really matters the most? So I came home and I asked my daughter, I said, hey, if somebody asked you what really matters the most to me, what would you say? And I just gave her the freedom to answer. And unfortunately, she said work. And it was like eye-opening. And I said, you know what? I got to recalibrate. I got to make a change. And so
Oh,
having that moment with Rod or at TMSA with you and Randy, the two speakers that were there, you guys did a phenomenal job. It's so valuable. I love what you do. I love your why. And I'm so thankful. How did you get into this? How did this become a thing for you?
oh, kicking and screaming. I hated it. I
Really
hated it. I
interesting.
was um, I was a corporate buyer for 20 years, and
Okay.
I was sold at and marketed at all the time, often
Yeah.
poorly. And the people that did it well, I was just fascinated by that, and I ended up developing, long-term relationships with those people. And I wrote a book, kind of a tell-all about. It was kind of a do this, not that. This is how your buyers think of you, and this is what they wish that you knew, but they will never tell you, but I will. And the phone started ringing, and I was just like, no, I would rather swallow glass than come and speak to a group of more than two people. But eventually, a friend asked, and I'm like, okay, okay. And then I finally realized it wasn't about me. It was about
Mm.
how I could serve them, and that changed everything.
That's really fascinating because I think a lot of speakers, they almost feel like they were built to be up on stage. They want that. I'm certainly that way where I'm very comfortable in front of people. I've always liked the limelight. Maybe it's a character flaw. I don't know. But I'm the opposite. So to hear you say, man, kicking and screaming that you didn't even want to do it, it's shocking because you're so good at it. But it makes sense now, understanding your why behind it, which is it's not about you. It's about how can you help other people with your experience and with what you've done, which is probably a huge reason for your success. Is
Well,
that you
now
get in
it's
that audience?
entirely about me, Trey. It's all about me. Me, me, me. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it doesn't come across that way. You do a great job hiding
Thank
it.
you.
No,
No, I love
but
it. I'm so glad it found me and it picked me because I love what I do now.
yeah, yeah. And you probably wouldn't have chosen that on your own, obviously, without
Oh
somebody kind of
no.
pushing you and moving in that direction. And sometimes life works that way. Sometimes we find our passion and our why, and other times we need to be encouraged a little bit, or maybe a little kick in the butt to get to that place where we know what it is. Who was it that really kind of encouraged you to do that again? Who were the people in your life that said, "Yeah, this is you. You need to do this."
Oh gosh, it was my friends that were in sales and marketing that were like, "This is so good. You need to share this with the world. You need to do
Yeah.
more of this." And I just remember at the beginning, I was so horrible at it. Just reading from my notes,
Probably
gripping
not as
the
bad
death
as you
grip
think,
on
but
the podium. I
I
was awful, but the information, I guess, was good enough for people to keep asking me back.
Yeah, no, it really was. And I think the more you do anything, the better you get, right? You kind of get comfortable and kind of figure things
Yeah.
out. That's kind of how life works. Talk to me about, this is really fascinating to me because some down the road, I'd like to have the opportunity to speak and hopefully share something that's really valuable for people. So I'm kind of curious about this. When you plan for an event, what's your goal? Like when you go up there to speak, what are you trying to accomplish every time you're up on stage?
It sounds kind of cliche to say if I could just help one person, That's the bare minimum. I want to see the light in people's eyes. I want to connect with them. I want to see that they're paying attention. They're shaking their, they're nodding, and that they're getting something out of it. Then I know that I've done my job. People are going to look at their phones. They're going to tune out. The human brain is so impatient these days. And I know that's going to happen. If I do my job well enough, I can keep bringing them back. And hopefully they leave a different person than when they sat down. They leave inspired. They leave with a new idea, less frustration, whatever it is that they were seeking. Hopefully I was able to give them a little bit of that.
Little clarity, little kind of, consolation of like comfort of where we're going in life, those types of things. And I know this, being in the audience, when speakers speak, sometimes it feels like they prepared just for me, just knowing what I needed to hear. And that happens for a lot of people in the room in different ways, depending on where they are in life. But again, that's the value of having someone like you come up and tell everybody, let's pause for a minute and let's focus on this. And then from that, it leads to action steps and things that we can do to get better. And so I absolutely love it. I think that it's phenomenal. Have you, have you written books yet? Are you an author yet?
I just released my 5th one.
Tell us about your books.
So I started out in the hospitality industry, writing just for that industry.
Really? Okay.
And then, I was a buyer in hospitality and tourism, and I still have a foot in that industry. I love that. That's my original family, if you will. And it just evolved from there to help when I realized that sales and marketing is sales and marketing, no matter what industry it is, because humans are humans, no matter where they are.
That's right.
And so my message was larger than I realized, and I was able to help people across all industries. And so my books became more appealing to more than just that niche. And so I think it was the 3rd book, which was called Don't Become Extinct, Join the Sales Evolution. That was my first book for a wider audience. And that's when I started speaking to a lot more groups. And now this list of industries that I've spoken to is just, it makes me really happy. Sometimes I laugh because I'm like, really? I spoke to pest control, and I've spoken to automotive.
Big business, by the way, pest control.
Yeah, they are so fun, especially when I just started it out with an icebreaker, what is the weirdest pest that you've had to control? And one guy raised his hand. He's from Florida. He said, alligators. I'm thinking like spiders and mice.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I love my job. And, about 80% of what I speak about is relevant to any industry. And then it's that 20% that I have a learning curve, and I need to learn about pest control or logistics or packaging or grocery or whatever that industry is that I'm speaking to. And that's the part that I really enjoy.
And what are the names of your 4th and 5th book? The one you just released, the 5th one.
The 4th book was called Frankly Speaking. And the 5th book that just came out is called The Roaring 20s, Better Sales and Marketing in the Post-Pandemic Decade. So it is all about how cool this decade is, clever, and how much easier it will be to market and sell if you understand how your buyers have changed.
Yeah, that's really clever too, because the moment you said the Roaring 20s, I immediately thought 1920s, but we're in the 2020s. We are actually in the 20s here.
Oh, I draw several parallels, and the parallels are almost spooky about how there's so much change happening in a short period of time because of everything they went through in like 3 years and everything we've gone through in like 3 years. And it's permanently changed who we are.
Yeah, it really has. And it's interesting you say that, it's all about people, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're selling to a company, large, small, whatever, somebody is making that decision to say yes and write a check and spend money and buy a service or a product. It's always that way. And understanding human emotion, behavior, those types of things are so critical. So I love the fact that you're kind of keeping the main thing, even within the new context that we find ourselves in today. Before we go any further, where can people find these books? And where can they learn more about you? So Amazon, okay.
Yep. If they just, it's easiest to put in my name because my titles are a little lengthy. So just put in my name to Amazon and they'll all pop up.
That's awesome. So if you're watching the show, make sure you go pick up at least one of the books. Might as well get the whole collection and try them out, which is awesome. I'm really interested in the last 2, Frankly Speaking, and then the last one. So I'm gonna have to pick those up, but I appreciate you sharing that with us, which is really great. Okay. So we got to pause for a second, Shawna. We got some new segments that we got to go through. Okay. So first of all, did you realize what national day it is today?
I heard a rumor, but I will let you announce it.
It is National College Colors Day, which makes sense because it's the first weekend of college football. All right. So
Woo!
who's your college team?
My son plays for Bemidji State, small school.
Where is that located?
It is in Bemidji, Minnesota, in the
Bemidji,
frozen
Minnesota.
tundra. So he is a tough, hardy lad. And yeah.
See, if they're doing ice skating, I envisioned college kids just skating around campus. Maybe there's a pond in the middle somewhere in the quad, and they're just
Oh, it
skating.
is
Does
not.
that happen? No.
It is not that idyllic. It is not. Yeah. No, picture like parkas with only your eyes showing, and even those get frozen. And no, most of it's indoors, thankfully.
So what's Bemidji State's colors?
They are green and white and black.
Green, white, and black. Okay. And how about you personally? Do you have a college that you follow or went to?
You know, I went to Cornell College, and so we were the Rams D3 school, purple and white. But I don't, you know,
I
don't
find
really
too
look
many
at
schools
games.
purple and white. You got Northwestern, you got Cornell. Not a lot of purple and white out there.
Not a lot. Not a
That's
lot.
kind of unique. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So I went to William Jewell College, which nobody knows where that is. It was in Kansas City.
Is it
Yeah, it's in Kansas. It's in Kansas. Oh, nice work. It's in Kansas City, and we're the Cardinals, so we're red and black. Pretty standard. Nothing too flashy about that. But I am in the state of Missouri. Kind of follow Missouri a little bit, but I'm also a Chiefs fan, so I'm really a red and black kind of guy. That's kind of with everything is doing that. So, but it's National College Colors Day. The Chiefs are in college. I get it, everybody. But yeah. So, and this is the first week of football. Do you watch college football?
I do. I watched the home opener last night for Bemidji State, as it happens.
It was on TV.
And I also watched some Iowa Hawkeye football as well, just having gone to school in Iowa and family in Iowa.
Yeah. So you're a Hawkeye fan. They've had some good years. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Of course, it's probably gonna be an SEC team again. It always is. Seems like that's kind of the way it works. But but that's how it goes. I don't know.
That's how it goes.
It's fun now because everybody's 0-0. For the most part until last night. So it's exciting, which is great. So National College Colors Day. Everybody enjoy the first week of college football out there this week. Should be a lot of fun. Should be some real spankings out there. Some like 80-0 games with some of the non-conference games starting out this year. So that'll be fun. All right. We also have another segment that we want to go through, Shawna. I didn't even prep you on this. Okay. So you just have to play along today and just go with it.
Love that.
We have the random question of the day. And listen, I don't even know what it is. Like, I'm not sure what the question is. I haven't seen it. It's very random. I don't know if it's going to be funny or serious. I don't know if it's going to be a good question or if it's just going to stink. I have no idea. So let's go ahead and throw up the random question of the day. Today it is, if you were a kitchen appliance, which one would you be and why? This is philosophical. Okay. What do you think?
Oh, I would be a juicer.
A juicer. Okay. And why?
Extracting every drop out of life that I can.
See, that's way too connected to like what you do in life. That's not fun, Shawna. That's too serious. But that's a good answer.
Okay, then I'll be a toaster.
That's a good answer. No, we're gonna go with juicer. You already said it. See, like, you're a juicer. All right. What would I be? That's a great question. If I was an appliance, I'm probably gonna go with this one's gonna be surprising. No, I'm gonna be a microwave, and I'll tell you why. I like things done quickly. I like to get it done quick. I don't know, I like that. So I'm gonna go microwave. I don't know. I guess everybody. I mean, a microwave is if you don't have an oven, you can still cook. If you have a microwave, it's great for small apartments. Sometimes people have them in their office. Carry them around if you have to. It's versatile. There's a lot to this. I could go deeper on this.
You could totally go deep. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If it breaks, just get a new one real quick. Okay, that doesn't really fit. That doesn't help. That's
backtrack.
No, it's not good. All right, so you're gonna be a juicer because you're gonna extract everything out of life. That's a really good answer. And I'm a microwave, so that's what we're gonna go with.
Okay.
Random question of the day. What would you do out there in the comments? Tell us what you would be. What appliance would you be in the kitchen that we're not thinking about? This would have been a good one. I didn't think about it. A Keurig coffee maker, because that just makes everybody happy.
It does. That's a good one. I like that a lot.
I'm gonna switch my answer. Because I'm the host. I can do it. I'm going to switch. If you want to switch, you can too. I'm going to be a Keurig coffee maker. That's what I go with. All right.
I like that.
Okay. So, Shawna, let's talk a little bit about leadership. So you talk sales and marketing, talk a little about leadership, development, those types of things. Where do you feel like people and companies are struggling the most in terms of leadership these days? Like where do you feel like that's lacking, or where are you seeing where leadership is a real issue?
Well, with just the change in how we work, I think leadership of remote teams is really challenging. And the thing that I am really interested in at the moment is self-leadership and how we lead ourselves, especially, I've worked alone. I've worked at home since 1999. And it is not always easy. And there are so many people now who are working at home who aren't used to it, who are forced into it, or maybe they love it. And so self-leadership has to come into play a lot more than it ever did before the pandemic. And leaders have to instill trust, and they have to instill confidence in their people that they got this, and that they trust them to lead themselves when they're not working in an office. It doesn't have to be geographic.
That is a great point, because I've seen that a lot. Pre-pandemic, you had managers that were used to being on site, used to having people right there in their office, and then they had to overnight try to learn how to manage remote, and it's very different. And you have to have the right technology, but you also have to have some of the right cadences. And I like what you're saying there, because I think that people want to be treated like adults. And so the micromanaging aspect of virtual has actually been, I think, beneficial. But at the same time, that self-leadership thing that you talk about is really critical. If I were leading a company that had 100 people in it and they all went remote, that would be the place I would invest, is helping all of them grow individually, because then it starts to take care of the corporation as a whole, as well as management training for virtual leadership. I think there's got to be some courses that are going to come out of this. People who have kind of cracked the code and learned how to use technology are going to hopefully offer some training for managers to really learn how to manage remote. I don't know how much longer remote's going to happen, but I've seen that as well. And that's a real issue for a lot of leaders, that a lot of managers that just frankly don't know or didn't figure it out.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that's huge.
It's going to be an interesting decade. Again, in the roaring 20s, it's going to be interesting for sure.
It's going to, and I wonder too, right now, I feel like employees still kind of have the leverage in the whole kind of battle. And
for
it
sure.
may switch back to employers at some point. I know some people like Apple, they're saying, hey, we're returning to the office. We're coming back. And maybe in 3 or 4 years, that will become the standard again, to go back to the office. But I don't think so. I think that a lot of people are still going to work remote, and companies are just going to have to figure this out, especially if they want to attract the absolute best talent. They're going to have to give a little bit on that. And this is going to be a big area where people are going to have to work.
It's going to be huge. Yeah, they've got to attract them, and they've got to keep them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I started my company during the pandemic here at the beginning of this year, and we're all remote. And there's one guy that lives here in St. Louis with me, Chris Horton. He's here. And so we get together from time to time, but we're not in an office every day. I'm at home. Everybody's at home, working at home, and we're building the company that way. But what is it like when you go from office to hybrid or office to remote? That's where the challenges really occur. It's a lot easier for us starting this way. It's harder for companies that are still trying to manage how that's going to actually work out. Scott says he'd say empathy. Great point. Yes. Personal accountability. Scott's great. And Jennifer jumping in. She says, yeah, remote work forever. How do you engage with a team that will never work in an office day to day? It's just very different, and having these types of calls, video calls, and using technology, it's important. You got to figure out how to create similar dynamics in a virtual world.
And help geographically disconnected people feel emotionally connected and part of a team and part of a bigger mission. Yeah. And that is a new, that was always part of leadership, but now it's more challenging because they're not physically down the hall.
Right. And sometimes out of sight, out of mind. Like you might forget about some of your people for a couple of days or for a while. I mean, just depending on your cadences, you might forget about them because they're not in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's a problem too. It's a real problem. I'll tell you something I learned recently, and I'd love to get your take on this. I left another speaker one time. In fact, it was Randy Fox. I got to work with him again at another show. So I got to hear him again. But as he was talking, the thing I left with was, what's one thing I can do every day for my team that will make a difference? And what I walked away with was, I need to ask every person on my team every day, how are you doing? Just a simple question. How are you doing today? And find out how they're doing, and to get that feedback, because they might've been fine yesterday, but what happened overnight or what happened this morning that maybe they're not doing as well today? And how can I just be present and ask them those questions? I'd be curious to hear some tips you have on how do you lead people remotely effectively? What are some things that can help?
Well, that just reminded me of there's a conference that I run, and at this conference for 10 years, we have banned the F word, which is fine. So we give you permission. We hope you give yourself permission that if somebody asks you how you are, to really share, okay, how are you really? And sometimes it's that, like, how are you? Oh, fine. How are you really? And then that second one gives people permission to really open up.
Yeah.
So that, but also I did an exercise at the conference that we were at together where I had everybody break up into small groups, and they had a minute where they had to share their wins from the past week. What are you proud of? That is so powerful, I think, for remote teams to, whenever they're face to face on Zoom or in a room, if that's possible, to have them share their wins. Because otherwise, how do you know what your peers have done? Maybe your boss knows, maybe your boss has no clue, but just to share that, to be proud of your team, be proud of what you've accomplished yourself. I think that's huge psychologically.
Yeah, that is great. And to go back to what you said about FINE, I heard somebody recently say that FINE stands for feelings I'm not expressing. Because,
Oh,
we walk into church and people are, how are you doing? I'm fine. Everything's good. I'm fine. But, like having permission to say, I'm not doing as great today. And you don't have to spill all the beans, but just feel the freedom to say, I'm a little tired today, or
yeah,
I'm a
not
little
okay.
down today. I'm a little down today.
I'm
That's okay.
struggling.
To be down. I love what Scott says, to ask that question with conviction. That's absolutely right, Scott. You got to ask the question, but have conviction. And Jennifer says, make sure you really engage with the answers when you ask that question. I appreciate that reminder. That's a good reminder, Jennifer. Ask how people are doing and then engage with the answer. That's made a difference, I think, for my team. And I think that would make a difference for others, especially what you're saying, which is really, really helpful. Talk about the wins, have people share a little bit. And then here's something else we do. I'm gonna give you one more tip. We have a happy hour every Thursday afternoon where we don't talk any business. We just get together and laugh. We drink something, get together, laugh, have a good time. And then the day's done. And that's been really beneficial as well. But you got to figure out these nuances, right? Figure out these things that will help.
My niece is, she's 25, just turned 25. And she worked in an office where every Wednesday they did that. They left at 3 and they all went and had happy hour. And she misses that so much. She might go back to a lower paying job because the environment was so much better for her.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that crazy to think about that? I think that's true. I think people would work for less if they were given or fed these things that are nourishing and life-giving and energy giving. They're really powerful. So to everybody out there who's just thinking, how can I make my team better? Think about these things. These are simple things. These don't cost you hardly anything. Just a little time, a little intentionality, and it changes the game, especially remotely, which is awesome. Okay, so Shawna, what's next for you? We're getting close to the end. I can't believe it. 30 minutes flies by. It does every day. What's next for you? What's on the horizon for you?
I am working on a new keynote that I'm about to roll out, which is all about living and working more intentionally. I love that you said intentionality, and self-leadership is a big focus of that for the business audience. For the motivational audience, it's about living intentionally and not reverting back to the way we lived pre-COVID, because we all had new insights revealed to us about what's really important during COVID. It would be a shame to fall back into old habits because of routine.
That is a great final word. And I'll ask you one question. Do you ever get nervous when you have to give a brand new keynote for the first time? You ever get a little nervous? How does that go?
No, the last time I was nervous was I had to speak to a bunch of young male techies in Poland, and I was terrified.
But that is quite the audience. Yeah.
It's stateside. And if I keep in my head, I'm here to serve them, I'm here to serve them, then I get out of my own way.
Shawna, I love what you do. I'm so excited for you, and I appreciate you being on this show. If somebody wants to book you for an event, and I hope that people, think about this, like you got upcoming, holiday parties where you might want to have a guest speaker, or a customer event, or an internal meeting. How can people book you to come and speak to their team?
I would love to hear from them. They can just go straight to my website, which is shawnasuckow.com. And there's all kinds of buttons everywhere saying, book me, get more information, all those things. And they can reach right out to me and I will personally respond back.
Awesome. Let me see if I have this right. So I'm going to throw this banner up on the screen. Is that it right there? Got it right?
Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So everybody click on that if you want to book Shawna for an event coming up, which I think is a great idea, or maybe just to speak to your team. Shawna, thanks so much for being a part of the show today. Really appreciate you being on here. I hope you come back and see us soon.
I would love that. It's been my honor. Thank you so much.
That'd be awesome. And everybody, hey, listen, we got an awesome lineup next week. Great shows. We even have one on Labor Day. So if you got the day off on Monday, you can come back on Labor Day and you can check out the lineup as well. My good friend Michael Caney on Monday. Sadie Church from Art Express. She's a driver recruiter. We're going to talk to her. It's going to be an awesome show. Andy Shields on Wednesday. Jeff Lance on Thursday. And my good friend Lionel Johnston from up north, from Canada. Also, he was at TMSA. You may have met him when you were there. He's going to be on Friday. So make sure you come back every day for an episode of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. And we will see you guys on the flip-flop. You guys have a great weekend. Finish on Friday. today. Treats will be great. We'll see you, Shawna. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Trey.